It's really annoying that I didn't get to see that. You cucked me after. You can't stand up to the intellectual might of Andrew Yang, but I'd like to see you try. I like the Biden-Cheney 2024 suggestion because at least the Dems would be thinking outside the box. Not really. Why would they be thinking outside the box? They almost... Did this motherfucker forget that, like, you know, what's his face? Michael Bloomberg ran for president on the Democratic ticket. Like, these people are so dumb. Dude, honestly, anyone that fucking... Okay. Anyone that even takes this seriously or says this would be great, like, you are personally, single-handedly fucking... And none of you guys are, so it doesn't matter. But, like, anyone who says, like, oh, Biden-Cheney 2024, like, you quite literally are the reason for why people don't vote, okay? You single-handedly... I could scream from the rooftops to hundreds of thousands of people every day about, like, don't vote, do not vote. It doesn't change anything. Please don't vote. No matter what I say, it will not have a fraction of the power and influence of, like, writing articles like this and seriously pontificating on this or acting out on that idiotic decision. Okay? And here, there's more of it. Here, Dave Weigel talking about it. Is it a slow news week for where these people live? Thomas Friedman, Biden-Cheney 2024. Biden-Hogan 2024? What Hogan? Hulk Hogan? Hillary Clinton's 2024 election comeback. Like, these people, I feel like, will not stop until, like, 10 people vote, okay? I think that's the goal for the oftentimes reactionary neoliberal media conglomerate. Like, their goal is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have become unpopular. It may be time for a change candidate. So, like, what? Somewhat even more unpopular candidate? This is unironically the top of New York Times op-eds yesterday. Oh, the Thomas Friedman one. Yeah. Yeah, we're looking at it right now. Oh, fuck. Hold on. Yeah, Biden-Cheney. Biden-Cheney 2024. As I've noted before, one reason I pay very close attention to the Israeli-Palestinian arena is that a lot of trends get perfected there first and then go global. Airline hijacking, suicide bombing, building a wall. Yeah, I wonder why, dude. Oh my God. Suicide bombing, building a wall. Maybe it's because it's also, you know, a reactionary ethno-state project. So perhaps that's the reason why it gets it has like unique similarities to American politics that way. What do I know? Okay. Okay, this might give you an aneurysm. It's Thomas L. Friedman. It's in the middle name, okay? You and I are all going to be holding the L. Please don't vote 2024 Clinton Cheney. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At that point, it doesn't matter. I could literally, like, I could be like, I will suck your cock personally, okay? If you go and vote for the Democratic Party. And I said that over and over again. I would not be able to change anything, okay? I will fuck all of your moms, all of your sisters. I'll fuck your dads too if you vote for the Democratic Party. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter, okay? Are you fucking insane? I will never be able to change the outcome that a Democratic Party that takes a decision like this, that makes a decision like this, that is idiotic, okay? And the only people that believe that are people who are so heavily invested, so heavily invested on like twitch.tv that they think that there's actually any kind of fucking influence that someone commands that goes above and beyond and can even touch the fraction of power that earned media still has. Okay? If that was the case, Bernie Sanders would be the president right now. That's it. Also, this is so bad that I could see the Democratic Party actually doing this, especially because like dumbass op-ed writers are writing about it. Like Thomas Friedman is writing about it, so it's some dumb shit that I could see the Democratic Party doing. Also, I love the idea that like the worst thing about the Biden administration is that like the black woman was the vice president. Dog, Joe Biden's approval rating is also at 33%. Okay, it's not like he's doing any better than Kamala Harris, dumbass. Why the fuck would you go and like try to get also an incredibly unlikely dickhead like Liz Cheney, daughter of war criminal Dick Cheney, to be the vice president? Nothing will salvage this ticket. The Trump train is coming, baby. 2024. Choo choo. It's either going to be fucking Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump. Calling it, writing it right there, okay? The writing is on the wall, baby. Choo choo, motherfucker. The Trump train is coming, okay? Anyway, let's continue. Okay. So, where were we? Let's continue. The challenges of pluralism and lots more. It's off Broadway to Broadway. So what's playing there these days that might be a harbinger for politics in the United States? Also, I love that like the New York Times op-ed section is basically for an audience of like, 30,000 people max. Like there is no one that is like unironically reading Thomas L. Friedman. Every single one of those people are academics, okay? They're all like kind of reactionary, even though like they say that they are liberal, and that's it. That's who they're writing for. No Republican is ever going to read, period, but certainly not read fucking Thomas L. Friedman. And this does not speak to the broader electorate in any meaningful capacity. I just want to repeat that. We never learned that like this is not a real constituency. There's no real constituency for this kind of attitude. That is just how the New York Times operates. They do not give a shit because they're elitist pieces of shit. Getting paid $10.50 an hour to watch you right now? Brother, you should be getting paid $17 an hour to be watching me right now. That's kind of fucked up. Watch me harder. Get the rest of the fucking, assembly line to join in. Or wherever you're working. All the hot dog flippers. Anyway. Answer. It's the most diverse national unity government in Israel's history. One that stresses from the Jewish settlers. Oh, this is perfect. This is actually literally correct. Oh, I love this. It's the most diverse national unity government in Israel's history. One that stretches from Jewish settlers on the right all the way to an Israeli Arab Islamist party and super liberals on the left. Most important, it's holding together, getting stuff done, and muting the hyperpolarization that was making Israel ungovernable. And ultimately, what actually matters is that the Islamist Israeli Arab Party is completely insignificant and voiceless, and the overwhelming majority are still expressly an advocate for straight up melting every Palestinian into biomatter. Wonderful example for America. That is exactly the same. The American Isle is comprised of the same exact fucking attitude towards American imperialism and defending the interests of the corporate elite. Okay? So, hey, there you go. He's totally right. He's on the money, baby. Thomas L. Friedman. Maybe his name is actually Thomas W. Friedman, because that's true as fuck. That, yes, there is an attitude that is manifestly the exact fucking same attitude. Okay? The exact same attitude. Both of these people believe the exact same shit. Let's continue. And then you have AOC on the side. Just powerless, okay? Let's continue. This is very good. Is that what America needs in 2024? A ticket of Joe Biden, Liz Cheney, or Joe Biden and Lisa Murkowski, or Kamala Harris and Mitt Romney? Dude, they're like, you know what? You know what Joe Biden needs with his 33% approval rating? Someone that is even less popular. Dude, I love that. It's like, dude, that's right. The thing that Joe Biden needed to secure secure an electoral victory is just a less popular person next to him. Or Stacey Abrams and Liz Cheney, or Amy Klobuchar and Liz Cheney, or any other such combination. Before you leap into the comment section, hear me out. In June, by the way, I just want to point out once again that meritocracy is an absolute lie, because Thomas L. Friedman gets paid 6 figures to write garbage like this at the paper of record. Want to point that out again? If you still think after reading an article like this that Thomas L. Friedman deserves to make a 6-figure salary and sit in a throne of prominence among the liberal elite in the intelligentsia, you deserve to be a wage slave for the rest of your life. You have already eaten the boot completely. It's just not happening, okay? There's no changing you, okay? No solution to that. Anyway, in June, after an utterly wild period in which Israel held 4 national elections over 2 years and kept failing to produce a stable governing majority, the lambs there actually lay down with the lions. I wonder who he thinks are the lambs and the lions in that argument. Key Israeli politicians swallowed their pride, softened policy edges, and came together for a 4-year national unity government, led by rightist Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. Notice how, in this situation, the conservative is still winning. So strange. Obviously, there's still a unifying ideology within the Israeli coalition government, and that is, we need to fucking absolutely melt every Palestinian, because there is a ever-present constant threat of Palestinian existence on these lands that we occupy, okay? And that is precisely the same attitude that Americans have, okay? That's American conservatism, and that's just American ideology in general. It's like imperialist, bloodthirsty. It's the exact same shit. So, but even in that fantasy, right-wingers, they're still a little bit better, Yeah, and also it's just the pride that we leftists can't swallow, not because they're like categorically excised from the political conversation as best as possible, with surgical precision, I would say, especially by the Democratic Party and also mainstream media, which oftentimes is liberal. Anyway. By rightist Prime Minister Naftali Bennett and left of center alternate Prime Minister Yair Lapid. They are to switch places after 2 years. And for the first time, an Israeli Arab party, the Islamist organization Ra'am, played a vital role in cementing an Israeli coalition. What forced everyone's hand? A broad agreement that Israeli politics was being held hostage by then Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, who resisted putting together any government that he could not lead, apparently because if he didn't lead, he could lose his chance at some kind of immunity from prosecution on multiple corruption charges that could lead to prison. Sound familiar? Netanyahu was just a smarter Donald Trump, constantly delegitimizing the mainstream media and the Israeli justice system and vigorously exploiting social, religious, ethnic fault lines to divide and rule. He eventually stressed out the system so much that several of his former allies broke away to forge a unity coalition with Israeli center, left, and Arab parties. As Hebrew University of Jerusalem religious philosopher Moshe Halbertal put it to me, what happened here is that there is still enough civic responsibility, not everywhere, but enough, that the political class felt that the continued breakdown of the rule of law and more elections, which was leading nowhere, was an indulgence that Israel simply could not afford, given its highly diverse population and dangerous neighborhood. Remember, the ever-present danger of the unknown, the Palestinian, could be your next-door neighbor. You better watch out. The new Israeli government will neither annex the West Bank nor make final peace with Palestinians. Not important, obviously. Those would not be important steps for, Israeli-Palestinian relationships, because Palestinians are not a part of this conversation. They're not. They're not even human beings in the eyes of someone like Thomas L. Friedman or the Israeli government in this circumstance. They are just mindless drones that are violent and erratic, and they're constantly attacking Israel. That is just how the attitude is, unfortunately. Okay? Halbertal noted, but it is one that will attempt to renew the relationship with the Palestinian Authority rather than weakening it. It is one that prevented a racist anti-Arab party allied to Netanyahu from entering the cabinet. Again, reminder that, of course, it is, there's always someone that's even worse. There's always going to be someone that's even worse than Donald Trump, which is why we need to fucking concede to Donald Trump. There's always going to be someone that's worse than Joe Biden, like Donald Trump. So that's why you need to fucking be happy with the Joe Biden situation. And there's always going to be someone even worse than Netanyahu. Okay? And it is one that counterbalancing Bibi's strong embrace of the less than democratic ultranationalist states in Europe and evangelical Christians and Trump Republicans in America by rebuilding ties with the Democrats, liberal American Jews, and liberal parties in Europe. As Israeli leaders treat each other, and Israeli and Palestinian leaders treat each other with a little more respect, a little less contempt because they are out of Facebook and into face-to-face relationships again, stuff is getting done. There you have it. This right here is every single Thomas L. Friedman New York Times op-ed. Every single one, okay? Every single neoliberal op-ed ultimately revolves around the lack of civility causing global geopolitical conflict and more civility being the cooling factor, okay, that will actually solve the geopolitical conflict. Mind you, he already admitted that that's not happening, okay? Like, the prior paragraph quite literally stated that that's not a real thing that's going to happen, okay? But at least it'll be fucking civil, which is precisely what I despise about liberals, neoliberals, okay? This is what I fucking despise about liberal dickheads who say the actual underlying material issues will not be solved, but we will have a healthier outlook on those underlying material problems that we refuse to solve because the oppressed in that analogy are not even fucking humans. We will just have civil conversations as we continue bombing campaigns, for example. Okay? But it works. I'm willing to bet, and I do talk about this every fucking day, but I'm willing to fucking bet that most of you are not even aware that Joe Biden at this stage has deported more people than Donald Trump. That Joe Biden is still utilizing Title 42, which is a CDC provision that the Trump administration used to forcibly expel, purge asylum seekers from exercising not only the moral responsibility that this American government has, but their legal right. Title 42 is a CDC provision. So we quite literally consider asylum seekers that are seeking asylum in this country, which is what they legally can do, as dirty and infested with disease, COVID specifically. Instead of inoculating them, which I'm sure 99.9% of them would be open-minded towards and love that as healthcare, some form of it at least. We have chosen to expel them. We have chosen to use COVID provisions nowhere else except for when it comes to reactionary white nativist immigration policies. But most people aren't talking about it or care about it. Why? Because we are civil. We have civility politics, boys. We won. No more bad man Donald Trump. No more orange man bad. Old man Biden good. Biden is good, though. He's on the left. He is not on the left, and he's not good. Shut the fuck up, you dumb bitch. Mansour Abbas, the Islamist party's leader, even recently stunned many Israeli Arabs and Jews when he publicly declared Israel was born a Jewish state. That was the decision of the people. By the way, this is why Palestinians hate him, but that's besides the point. That he is an op. The question is, what is the status of the Arab citizen in the Jewish state of Israel? God, what a cucked fucking take, dude. Holy shit. What an incredibly cucked take. This is the concessions that the Israeli government is seeking to make with the Palestinian Authority that they consider to be the Palestinian Authority. Attitudes like this are exactly the reason why Palestinians unironically are like, we have no other options. Hamas is the only fucking option here. I hope people understand that. Okay? That is the reason. You might disagree with that. You might think that that's fucking bullshit, but that is precisely the reason why Hamas is seen as the only executive authority. And of course, Hamas also has a political faction that is the unironic actual authority of maybe not the West Bank, but at least Gaza. People will never recognize this, and they will never understand it. Okay? Could this play come to Broadway? I asked Stephen Lewitsky, a political scientist and co-author of How Democracies Die, after he presented some similar ideas last week to my colleague, David Lenhart. America is facing an existential moment, Lewitsky told me, noting that the Republican Party has shown that it isn't committed to any longer to playing by democratic rules, leaving the United States uniquely threatened among Western democracies. That's not even new. Like, you fucking idiot. How are you an academic? That all means two things, he continued. First, this Trump cult version of the GOP must never be able to retake the White House, since Trump has made embracing the big lie that the 2020 election was a fraud a prerequisite for being in the Trump GOP. His entire cabinet most likely would be of people who denied or worked to overturn Biden's election victory. There's no reason to believe that they would cede power the next time. Yeah. In a democracy, Lewitsky said, parties lose popularity and they lose elections. That is normal. But a democracy cannot afford for this Republican Party to win again because they have demonstrated a ton of evidence that they are no longer committed to the democratic rules of the game. They have never been committed to the democratic rules of the game, you fucking idiots. This is why jurisprudence and jurisprudence fetishists that love upholding systems and institutions, lovers of institutions that claim that institutions are infallible, okay? Procedural fetishists oftentimes get cucked by the Republican Party. Why? Because Republicans don't give a shit about actually holding up the value of the institutions. They will do whatever it takes to win, okay? And in that process, destroying institutions is a fundamental part of winning. So if you truly wanted to uphold the institution, sometimes you got to fucking fight dirty. But Democrats don't care, and they don't even care about the institutions either. That is just an aesthetic preference, okay? That's the only difference, is that, like, that is the aesthetic choice of the Democrat, the average American liberal, is that they aesthetically believe in civility and care about institutions. But that's it. That's it. That's why they keep getting owned over and over again. And ultimately, it doesn't impact them. It does not matter. Maybe it makes them feel bad for a little bit, but a lot of them live in fucking liberal enclaves that will never be impacted by the Supreme Court rules or whatnot, regardless. A lot of them are also wealthy, and they will never be impacted by these sorts of these sorts of attitude changes that end up with like really horrifying legislation. And that's precisely why they turn around and say shit like, yeah, okay, black people, why don't you relax with this whole defund the police movement? You're really hurting our electoral chances here. Because it doesn't impact them. It doesn't matter. So Biden-Cheney is not such a crazy idea, I asked. Not at all, said Lewitsky. We should be ready to talk about Liz Cheney as a part of blow your mind Israeli-style fusion coalition with Democrats. It's a coalition that says There's only one overriding goal right now, and that is saving our democratic system. And then motherfuckers be like, Hasan, you are pushing people to not vote. If I adequately show you how fucking cucked, how absolutely pathetically cucked this system is, and that leads you to not want to vote for the Democratic Party, that is not my fault. That is the wholehearted failure of the Democratic Party itself. I do not command that level of influence or power. This is bad for my mental health. Like, I rarely ever say like a piece of content is causing me to fucking lose my mind, but this is the content. That brings us to the second point. Saving a democratic system requires huge political sacrifice, added Lewinsky. It means AOC campaigning for Liz Cheney. It means Liz Cheney putting on the shelf many policy goals she and other Republicans cherish. But that is what it takes. And if you don't do it, just look back and see why democracy collapsed in countries like Germany, Spain, and Chile. The democratic forces there should have done it, but they didn't. To put it differently, this Trump-cult version of the GOP is trying to gain power through an election, but is trying to increase its odds by winning. Okay, I can't read the rest of it. I'm done. I can't. It'll make me violent. Okay? I will be violent. Huh.